When the CEO of an international company says this small cap company's technology represents a major breakthrough in the decentralized production of high pressure hydrogen, then you should probably pay close attention because that's what HPQ Silicon has done along with its partner Novacium. They've signed an agreement for commercial and industrial green hydrogen production using their Metagene technology. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And that's with Pragma Industries. Bernard, I got all dressed up for you. Welcome back, my man.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I've noticed the change.
Okay, finally, something other than fume silica. All right, for the HPQ hydrogen gang who has been pounding the table for hydrogen news. All right. Um, all kidding aside, I always ask you when it's new stuff like this, Bernard, how big is it? But I don't even want you to answer that question because Pierre Forte, the CEO of Pragma, this is what he said. Metagene represents a major breakthrough in the decentralized production of high pressure hydrogen, a perfect fit for last mile challenges. It'll enable us to supply our soft mobility offerings in a sustainable and cost effective way. And this part I love without relying on traditional energy infrastructures that deliver hydrogen at a high cost.
Mhm.
What does that kind of third party analysis statement say about what you guys are doing with Novacium and your Metagene?
Well, it confirms what we always understood. Okay, the problem with hydrogen, because everybody uses that word hydrogen, is the distribution, the cost related to those issues, right? And the cost, as weird as it is, it's not really just the cost of manufacturing all the infrastructure, but the cost of delivering this. So, one of the things that Pragma has is basically what's called a last mile technology. So, instead of having lithium-based batteries bike, they have a hydrogen-based bike, which basically delivers the energy. The advantage of the hydrogen is that it's actually a bit less risky than lithium batteries. They can explode. I think there was a house here that just got burned because the lithium batteries into the e-bike basically burn and when it completely destroyed the house. But the issue is when you're trying to deliver hydrogen in different location. Imagine in Montreal, there's a lot of Bixi station. So yes, you have Bixi power uh, with some hydrogen bike, that you would need to have multiple hydrogen refilling station.
Thanks.
Yeah, basically tanks. And the issue becomes, oh, how do you fill them up? Then you're gonna have to bring a big hydrogen truck into the city. Now that's what few people don't realize. It's not really the cost of manufacturing the hydrogen, which is an important factor, but then you have to deliver it to the end user. All right. So in this regard, the only alternative solution is to have a mini electrolyzer situated to basically convert electricity into hydrogen on spot. But the cost of that becomes higher than our solution, which is basically we take a almost recycled aluminum material that has some silicone into it, and we basically use that as our fuel in another component, and then we generate energy on demand under pressure. So that's an interesting market that can be there, and Pragma has an expertise in this. But whereas for us is the biggest interest is the fact that they're also working on hydrogen fuel cells for drone, which we think is where the future is going to be. But the problem with drones is you like to use them in often off-grid situation. You don't usually do it in grids. So if you have a better hydrogen-powered drone that is lighter, able to do more, then you need to figure a way to get the hydrogen. And Metagene technology is perfectly suited for this. And we've said that in many of our press releases. So this is where a lot of people ask me, when is the commercial contract going to start to come? But they're going to come through every one of those steps as we move forward to get this technology up to be commercially ready. And that is not in 3 years. That's not in 5 years. That's going to be this year.
Well, and Pierre Forte goes on to say, Metagene enables off-grid hydrogen production, an
Mhm.
innovation that addresses long-standing challenges which have hindered the development of this type of application.
Mhm.
Then goes on to say the ability to generate hydrogen anywhere without infrastructure opens up unprecedented opportunities for the development of hydrogen powered drones and could significantly accelerate growth in this market. So it's not just you saying it. It sounds like he's hit the nail on the head. Again,
Well,
you know,
he
it's
isn't
got to
he
feel
isn't
great
that.
to have that third party validation that
Yeah.
somebody else is saying and not just you guys.
Well, we've had it from multiple militaries that come and approach us and want this solution to be delivered. You have to remember that the genesis of that technology, okay, has been there is a military application for it at the beginning, and for the military, the cost of making the hydrogen was not as important. It was more the efficiency of the system. But where we're now going, as we understand more and more the technology, the process, and what comes into it, we're now realizing that we're going to be cost competitive. Okay, we're actually going to be cheaper than any other process, and we're going to be able to go in different areas. Why I'm really excited about this is that, you know, as we've done this and we've shown in the press release, when we start talking about a system will have 10 reactors into it, that will start to produce significant amount of energy, then I can see like massive applications in Canada. Canada is a perfect market for this, okay? Because we have so many off-grid applications, okay, which are incredibly difficult. So as we develop and validate this with Pragma and basically testing and getting moving, we're now going to be able to say we have a technology solution for you. Hello, Canadian government. You guys want to build military base all over the Arctic? Well, we have a solution. Our technologies, okay, will help you do the following: get you hydrogen energy available on demand anywhere else. By default, the system is exothermic. What does that mean? It generates heat through the process. So we will be able also to heat the military encampment in those situations. And third of all, we can, since we can take stale water or gray water, we convert it into drinkable potable water. So many applications. And just yesterday, the Canadian government was said they were going to spend a lot of money in developing new technology. Well, there's a Canadian company partnering with a French company that's developing this type of application that has massive military civilian usage. And what Pragma is showing is as a user of hydrogen, okay, he sees a usage for our technologies. So maybe this is not an immediate
I
contract.
like unprecedented opportunities. I like that.
Yeah.
But you're basically saying this opens up a lot more doors that just were not even addressable before Metagene. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, anything that's offsite, anything that's remote location, ship, it can be emergency application. There are so many applications where this can comes into it. And the beauty for Novacium and HPQ is that this is not like fume silica, okay, where we need to build a big plant, okay, to get, tons of material and then ship it. We will be able to work with multiple subcontractors, okay, that will be able to build for us those equipment, okay. Then we just do the final assembly of the equipment and we sell those equipment. And then the beauty of it, we have then recurring revenues by selling the fuel source of the material. Okay. So this doesn't require massive capex investment on the part of HPQ Novacium to go in construction. Second of all, this is the type of project, okay, that will attract significant government investment. It didn't take me 10 minutes after my press release was out that I received a link in communication from a responsible for grants in Quebec, and telling me, oh, you remember, Canadian company can now apply to Horizon financing in Europe, okay, and it can go up to billions or hundreds of millions of dollars of financing to get the development. The key point is for a company like HPQ, which is pre-revenue, okay, getting grant for us is the first level of revenues, and then we then switch to commercial process. The difference with this technology is that the revenue potential is blue sky. The capital requirement for us to do it is low. It's a bit closer to be like developing a software or an app. Okay, it's like a software and an app to make hydrogen. It's all the intellectual knowledge how to do it. Okay, and the rest of it can be, there are some specific technicalities that are, not easy to get up the hydrogen pressure, but nothing outside of the extraordinary to be done by people who understand what they're doing. So this is what people have to realize. This is not going to be like HPQ saying, "Oh, okay, we're gonna have to build another plant. We're gonna get this material approved." Once you make hydrogen, hydrogen is hydrogen. Once your system generates hydrogen, once you demonstrate that your cost is going to be delivered costs cheaper and that you can deliver pressurized hydrogen anywhere in the world, which nobody else can do. Once you're up generating something like 10 kilogram of hydrogen per day, okay, that's 300. I think I believe my memory is correct, is that's 330 kilowatt hours of energy. That's a lot of power for a
By
system.
the way, put that into perspective because you also had somewhere in the press release, I have it here. Uh, Metagene enables a generation of 1.25 square meters
Okay,
of hydrogen per kilogram of fuel. I I have no, and I think 95% of people say I have no idea. Is that significant? Put that into some
what's
kind of perspective for all of us.
what's more significant is to understand, and me, I don't know if you allowed me to share, but I can go and show the images from the press release.
Let me give you screen share. Hold on. Should have done that earlier. You got it?
Okay, got it. Give me a second. Two.
Yeah, because nobody thinks in terms of 1.25 square meters of cubic meters, sorry, of
Whoops, whoops,
hydrogen
whoops.
per kilogram of fuel. Like none of us
Oh, whoa, whoa,
think
whoa,
that way. So
whoa.
we need some perspective.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so people are seeing this one?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can see the image,
yeah, the image. Okay.
uh,
So
the fuel. Yeah, the
okay, so
hydrogen gas pump, for lack of a better term.
well, yeah, that's but basically that's sort of like artist rendering what it looked like. But at the end, for military type of application, it's probably going to fit in one or two. When you used to go to camp, those big container things, okay, it's probably going to fit into those system. So it's not really, it's not that big. It's like a an IKEA chest. That's how big it's going to be. It's going to be stronger, and it's going to be metal design. But that's the system it is. And then you put in the combustible, 9.5 kilogram per day. You put the water, and you'll get 1 kilogram of hydrogen per day for one reactor. Okay. But the
And what
beauty
is
of
that fuel? Like, what does that power? 1 kilogram per day
one
of
kilogram
hydrogen. What is that
generates
powering?
like, and then we get into different type of calculation. But it generates about 33 kilowatt hours per 1 kilogram of power. But then you got to ask yourself, if you use a fuel cell, you end up losing half of it. But then you have to calculate the energy doing. It starts to be enough energy to start to do things.
We should put things into
Um,
units so people understand, like this amount of hydrogen can power a 2,000 square foot house for a week, or can power
yeah,
10,000,
yeah, is it proper?
2,000 square,
Yeah,
10,
yeah,
10, 10,
yeah.
2,000 square foot houses for a day or something like that. That way we
Yeah,
can just get a little perspective. We need to come up
yeah,
with a
but
unit.
people that are in the hydrogen business understand it. And what's really interesting is, since the beginning, we knew that this was mostly the system designed for a one basically standalone military operation in the field. Okay, that was the basic preliminary design. So it's for soldiers in the field. They're going to need drone applications. They need something that's not that big, not that massive. But as we started to show the technology, then people kept asking us, well, keep making it bigger. Can you make it bigger? Can you make it industrial scale? And then we thought, how can we do that fast? Okay. And then the guys at Novacium came up to the idea is, wait a minute, if we put a series of 10 reactors together in one container, then we start to generate massive amount of energy. Okay. So we're going to be talking about 330 kilowatt hours per day. And that's enough to run a few houses, a few barracks, a few military areas. And that's just a starting point. But that means you can do that anywhere in the world. You just ship it there, install, start the system, and you just either have to deal with the waste byproduct, okay? And if you're in the field, it's nothing else than grava, just like something that can be rocks that can be left there. In a military situation, the beauty of it is basically they use it to make sandbags. In a civilian application, if we're doing in civilian areas, then we can recuperate that material and basically repurpose it to reuse it again. So it's completely circular. So the concept is we can deliver pressurized hydrogen anywhere else. And this is not something that's going to take 5 years to get to commercial production.
How
Okay.
close? How close are you to putting this in the field?
December,
And
what we say in the press release is by December. Okay. I think we say it very clearly in the press release. No, this is the other pages. I think we do say it. Well, we don't say it, the basic, I know it. Um, oh, I do
Well,
it in the
give us a
presentation.
ballpark. Doesn't have to
Yeah,
be.
pilot
Is
phase
that
is
it right
planned.
there, right above
Yeah,
between late
that's where it is. A
2025 and early
pilot phase is
2026?
planned between late 2005 and early 2026. Okay. But the pilot phase, by late 2025, we will have a system capable of generating 1 kilogram. We'll have a reactor capable of generating 1 kilogram. Okay. And as people are asking us how we're going to pay for the development of this, there are already some very, very advanced discussion with uh, some third parties that have asked us not to name them until they sign the check. But I can tell you those are very, very advanced negotiations. So it's not going to be
Wow.
HPQ or
So are you talking
Novacium.
like potential customers? Are you talking
Well,
straight
yeah,
up
yeah, well, yeah.
finance guys? What do
Well,
you strategics? What do you can you tell us something there?
there's a concept where the militaries of the world finance some R&D for interesting technologies. Okay, which is something like I think in the U.S. There's a certain specific name for it. There's a different name for it in France, and I think that's one of the things the Canadian government wants to do is start creating that also. Now we are in discussion with one of those entities that is going to be financed because they want those because they need those systems for application. You have to remember that the war in Ukraine and the important uh, the war in Ukraine has completely changed the dynamic with regard to drones. It's going to change the dynamic of everything else. So
Oh yeah.
you need energy. There's two things that are very, very clear. Okay. And two things in which HPQ and Novacium are going to do very, very quickly. And we're going to looking at commercializing very, very fast. I strongly believe that this can be commercialized faster than the fume silica. Okay. Fume silica will be commercialized. I have no doubt about it, but I think this will be faster. We think we're taking it on the strategy about our autonomous
Well,
production
because
of
the
hydrogen.
capex, right? You don't need to build a big place. You can
Yeah.
deploy pretty quickly. Like by early
Mhm.
2026, you can start deploying 10 kilograms of hydrogen per day.
Well, once you have the plans, the design, it's just you can build multiple of those containers, and then you can ship them all over the world. If you think, I'm just thinking about Canada, all those First Nation areas which are lost there, which have basically have a hard time getting energies. They need to have like tons of diesel fuel into it. You can take our material, and the beauty of it, you don't have to worry about the storage of the fuel.
What
The
is the
fuel, yeah.
if I wanted those right there? Let's say I'm just again I'm just spitballing. But let's say HPQ Silicon said, "Hey, we want to make a splash. We want to send one of these units, the 10 reactors. What's the cost of that right there? And I'm not telling you your cost, maybe you don't want to give that away, but end user cost, where we say, okay, HPQ is going to donate this to the Georgecom tribe, in Northern Ontario. And so that way we just donate it free, have a working prototype. It gets the attention of everybody. What's the cost of that, that 10 reactor container right there?
We'll have that cost by the end of the year, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be like $20 million. It's like it's going to be. But at this moment, you know what? I don't want to put a ballpark figure on those issues, probably
Okay.
because a lot of those numbers are confidential to us. But
Okay.
it will be. We believe that our costing, okay, including the capex related to the buying the machine by the third party using it, we will still be cheaper, okay, than anybody buying hydrogen. And we're just talking in an environment where you'll be able to get hydrogen shipped to you. Okay. Now, in any areas where you go outside of where they can be trucked, I don't even think they're allowed to ship. Maybe they're allowed to ship hydrogen on rail track, but I'm not even sure. So that sort of limits
I don't know.
that I don't know, but you understand what it is. The shipping
Yeah.
hydrogen is so expensive because of the securities related to the pressurized
Yeah. The
system.
precautions you have to take.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Hey, let's
Mhm.
talk a little bit about Pragma itself,
Mhm.
because some shareholders have questions saying, "Hey, who's Pragma? What is Pragma? Tell us a little bit about." I mean, I'm gonna use a couple of the things here. Uh, Leading designer of fuel cells and soft mobility solutions based in Biarritz, France. A long-standing hydrogen pioneer with over 20 years of experience. So
Mhm.
those some generalities there. That sounds fine. Uh, Give us a little more background on who Pragma is at the end of the day so that shareholders can kind of assess the weight of this kind of third party validation.
Well, Pragma is an entrepreneurial company like Novacium and HPQ. is. Okay, the market they've attacked is the one of the end mobility using hydrogen. So they've developed there so they can, they have an expertise in generating fuel cell. What's a fuel cell is fundamentally a system that converts the hydrogen into electricity. Um, and they're more specialized into lower voltage in one specific market segment that is used more in basically last mile mobility, and now being used in drones because there's very specific demands for the energy requirements of drone and those issues, and that's been there. Now, some of us may remember that Novacium when we were no, not Novacium but HPQ when we were involved with it with Apollon, the Trekkie technology was developed there. Okay, and the Trekkie is sort of like the the ugly duckling or the
Outdoorsy,
first
rugged.
the first generation of the technologies, which made it very very clear of the limitation of that system, which is one of the things that Pierre Forte talks about. Okay, so the Trekkie was just nothing else than an emergency system where you put a very dangerous powder to create a chemical reaction. It was nice little toy. It was a nice little demonstration toy. But everybody came to realize that if you want to have something commercially viable, you'll need to address a lot of the issues. And that is literally where the Metagene technology, which is completely different, no relationship to at all of what the Trekkie situation is, has been developed. We're using solid, hard fuel that is which we're able to extract the hydrogen from it, as opposed to using dangerous nanoparticles. Because in a certain way, what we're trying to resolve with a mobility system, okay, is dealing with the transportation risks. So if you have a material that is a nanopowder to generate the hydrogen, you still have the same dangerosity because nanomaterial are as dangerous in their form of nano as if they are in pressurized hydrogen. So that was completely what Novacium's guy wanted to do, develop a technology that does this. And you know, it's a small environment in France where people that are, and there's not too many people that are working on hydrogen. So of course there's going to be some discussion. But as this moves forward to the next step, there's a grant application because he sees for his application, he sees that his application, okay, value will increase thanks to our technology. So this is just one small business case, okay, that we're demonstrating the potential of the Metagene technology. The other one is the military one. The third one is the one I explained for Canada. There are so many business cases for this, and we're in the process of building the first prototype of the system. We've
Hold
done
on,
some lab
just to
scale.
check you. Yeah, there are a lot of business cases, but let's talk about the ones that are actually addressable to you. So there
Mm-hmm.
is military in your.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us an update on that? Where that's at with the military?
Um, I have to be very cautious because as we get close to the moment when they sign something and give us something concrete, we're sort of like in a huis clos where we're not really allowed to talk
Blackout. It's
about it.
almost like you're in a blackout.
Yeah, we're starting a blackout, but it's not going to be long. It's not going to be long.
You have a high
Uh,
level of confidence that
oh, very high.
and then look,
There.
you've got
Okay.
the credibility with Evonik. You delivered fume silica, so you can speak a little more freely within the confines of
Yeah.
not giving confidential information with
Mm,
whatever you're working
yeah.
on with the military. But do you have a high degree of confidence that the
Very high.
military grants, military testing and applications are going to be coming? That smile on your
We
face maybe
have
says it all.
we have that both for hydrogen and both for batteries. But I'll talk about this a bit later on. Bit of my teaser of the day.
So I can't ask more. If I try to drill down more, I'd get stonewalled.
Yep.
And whatever, and Pragma's last, their application, they think they're going to be able to nail down some grant funding for their specific application, which obviously is a benefit
Well,
to you
no,
because then they can
yeah, but for them, they already have a commercial case for it. Okay, but the commercial case for it had a limitation. Okay, which is that limitation that our technologies eliminate. Okay, so for them, okay, That's suddenly going to allow them to offer to many, many different places all over the world. Okay, last mile solution with their technologies and using our Metagene process to basically allow them to refill the bikes everywhere else. Think about this: if you know the issue with as we get into more dense city, okay, all over the world, okay, people are going to use smaller mobility system. We see it already with the delivery system, okay. So you'll need a system. Now, if you use electric batteries, they don't last for long. They're dangerous. They can take fire. So I think there is a massive market for the last mile that can go from the delivery from FedEx to using those systems in different type of areas. But there was a limitation to the deployment of that technology, which was how do you deliver hydrogen, okay, in densely packed city in a way that is safe. Fundamentally, that's what Metagene will allow to do. So that's an interesting business case. And it's going to be one business case and it's going to be multiple of them. But the beauty for HPQ, Novacium and HPQ in a certain way, is that our revenue stream are going to be twofold. One of them is the system. The second one is the energy source because it'll be our energy source. So think about this as a printer, okay? Now the printing companies don't really make that much money selling you the printer, but they make a lot of money selling you the ink. And that's literally what it is. And this is just one application for this. The military is a completely different one. The one I just talked to you about, the Canadian Grand North, if they want to build up military base all over, we're going to resolve a lot of issues.
And let's not forget, I mean, again, when I said earlier, I want to be careful about that. We want to talk about addressable where we have a direct, as
Mhm,
what we just talked about there, you have a direct line to applications and
mhm,
potential grants and revenues. But having
mhm,
said that, if we want to think outside the box a little bit, Canada apparently, and its new Liberal government, is going to embark upon a very aggressive expansion of exploiting our resources and developing them and all that. And that's going to mean a lot of
mhm.
off-site work going on. So there's a chance that hydrogen and specifically your on-demand, safe, autonomous system might be going into a potential super cycle of demand in the next 5, 10 years as Canada races to develop its own resources. Finally,
Yeah, yeah, but it's gonna be Canada. It's gonna be anywhere else, any Nordic country. Okay, any countries that needs energy because the issue, and since I was in mining before, the issue when you have an off-site exploration camp, you have to fly in the fuel. Okay, make sure it doesn't get
crazy.
water damage. You have all the environmental issues related to fuels. You have fuel spill, those type of issues. Okay. Second thing is your generator A is loud. Okay, it's a very loud generator, so it creates a lot of noise. Second of all, you can't put it inside your tent. So the heat it generates, you lose because it will kill you if you put it inside your tent. Our system are exothermic, aka they generate heat. And the only other thing that escapes in the air is oxygen. So you can generally have those systems installed within habitable areas, or you basically just have a system where you can transfer the heat generated for that to heat the campment. So for all the exploration camp that we're using a lot of fuels can end up using our system. And the beauty of this is that the fuel cell for this is a recycled aluminum of a low grade recycled aluminum. So Canada can also produce that recycled aluminum, okay, for the Canadian market to be able to deliver it to those issues. And then we have our neighbors to the south, which will also need them for their military camp. Whenever they try to take over Greenland or something, they're probably going to need our technologies. So I'm just joking here. It's not going to happen. But you understand the concept. So
Yeah.
let's stay we're going to stay very focused on one thing. Okay. Getting the first prototype ready for military and demonstration testing. And then as soon as we get that system working, build the first multiple 10 system that can go the step higher and have those demonstration system and show them. So we're gonna start to do marketing. We're gonna go to fair shore technology, shore system, shore savoir faire, and we're gonna end up signing contracts for multiple areas. Listen, EI needs massive amount of energy. You imagine the amount of energy that's going to be required for the EI that's going to be running the exploration camp. So they're going to need a lot of power.
What's the EI? AI?
AI, sorry, I was speaking French.
Okay, there's another
Sorry, I was
birdieism.
singing French. Oh, sorry. Oops.
Along with dangerosity earlier, there's a
Oh,
couple of
something. Yeah.
birdieisms, but
Yeah.
yeah, all that stuff is going to require. And look, I don't think marketing that's going to be difficult. I
No.
was cautious earlier about not going into dreamland industries and verticals because everything in the world is, but here's one where we all know the mining companies just say, who's in the Yukon, who's in far to reach places that's to fly fuel in. And
Mhm.
once you do the economics, you can go public with that and say, hey,
Yeah.
that reactor with 10 daisy chaining 10 of them together will be this cost as a capex, and this cost is operating. There's going
Mhm.
to be business to be had. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be there.
And it's not going to happen in 5 to 10 years, as we said. We'll have
But
the first system by the end of this year. So probably like maybe Q3, Q4, we'll have the first prototype. Okay. And then, but after that, it's just going to be a question for us to designing the system of building up. So, but the scaling up, the idea has been fundamentally to make sure that we have a system that we can scale up. The system has been designed with an ability, it's a flexible system. Okay. So maybe somebody's going to say, I don't need 10, I need five. Oh, it's okay. We'll do a
yeah,
smaller
yeah.
container. I need 2 containers of 10. Okay, we'll do 2 containers of 10. But the beauty for us, it's going to be like somebody else is going to do a lot of the manufacturing. We'll do the final assembly, put a logos into it and sell them, and then basically make sure that we keep selling them the fuel for it. So it's a nice little business case. It's probably going to eventually should be spin out of HPQ autonomously, HPQ Novacium, because it's such a nice little business. But it can be, but the addressable market is much bigger than the fume silica one.
Oh, that's
So
energy's energy, man. Of course,
mhm.
absolutely. I can't wait. I can't wait for the numbers. Like, I really want to know what are the numbers for 10 or 5, and what does that look like, and
Well,
what's
I
and
think the first number
it would be
I think the first number we want to be able to show, okay, is that we're actually cheaper delivered. Okay, we're not going to compare ourselves to like this great electrolyzer, this reverse electrolyzer that does a, that's irrelevant. Okay, because electrolyzer just does, and you have to hydrogen delivered, the delivered cost. And I think as further you go from the source of where you get your hydrogen, the cost keeps going up exponentially. Where in our case, the cost is flat.
And for the record, I want to make sure everyone's, this is on the record. It's coming on YouTube. It's immutable. You can't erase it. Do I still have the exclusive license to swimming pools, people
Well,
heat swimming pools? Because we
basically the
talked about
first
that a couple of years ago. I want that.
but you were talking Metagene, which is basically a small system. So, but if you think about it, just the first reactor, the one that's going to do a kilogram of hydrogen, is going to be overkill to do your pool. You probably could use that system and keep your pool at boiling temperature in the middle of winter. Wouldn't create any damage.
Talking my language, baby. That's what I want. I want that thing operating in the winter. I'd ask you more, but it sounds like you have more to give, but can't give it right now. So I'm hoping, I'm trying to read between the lines that that's going to be something we're going to hear about in the near future during these early
Mhm.
summer months. That'd be awesome. But congratulations again. Good third party validation. Another step forward, and can't wait to have you back to talk about hydrogen again, as long as fume silica doesn't keep getting in the way. Because the fudsters will complain about if it's not enough fume silica, if it's not enough fume hydrogen, they're gonna complain. They make me laugh. I got that. It's
It's
so
it's
funny.
sort of fun. There's a point that's a bit of funny. It's like not even even investors have sent me email. So for a long time, people were complaining we're not talking about fume silica. Then we started talking about fume silica. We said we made fume silica. Then we got an independent. It wasn't sufficient. I don't know what they want with regard to proving. I don't know, more positive, but that's moving well. Then they came and asked us what's going on with the batteries. You haven't talked about the batteries, means nothing is going on for the batteries. No. One of the ways we work at HPQ Novacium is we work in summary. We wait until we reach a certain significant milestone and we'll talk about it and we'll present it. But what I can say is in those three main verticalities, okay, which is hydrogen, batteries, and waste to energy. Everything is moving forward. Nothing negative has happened. The same thing as with fume silica. To be totally honest, I would be afraid to see what happened to my stock if I issued a bad news, because I keep issuing good news and it keeps
Hey,
going back.
knock on wood.
It's like
Knock
oh, it's
on
like
wood.
the fact is that we're hitting every one of our milestones. Okay, we are. We are getting closer to getting commercial contract, okay? But commercial contracts don't come out of the air by magic. They come out by reaching some commercial goal, which is what we're doing in the fume silica, which we're going to be doing in the batteries, and which we're going to be doing in the hydrogen.
And let's remember, these are my own. I'm going to use my own adjective, but these are big. This isn't a few pizzas for the local school or something like that, where you can negotiate it all in 10 minutes over the phone. So good stuff, my man. Can't wait to have you back. I'm going to be heading out to Greece at some point in the very near future. So if the we'll see if the HPQ Silicon George Vacation Index
Oh, better be
indicator,
prepared. Better be prepared, George.
yeah,
Better be
something.
prepared.
I'm gonna hopefully I'll do it from inside the Parthenon at nighttime with the lights on. But thanks, man. This was
Yeah.
great. 36 minutes. So this was really good. And it seems like this is almost like Mission Impossible one in the last one, and we have to wait for the second one. It sounds like there's more shoes to drop. So hopefully, I'm reading you right. Your big smile earlier, and we're gonna have you back. But until then, have a great day, and everybody at home, thanks for watching. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you.
Hey, small cap fam! I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and AGORACOM? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great AGORACOM small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.